going to realize that, hey, people are spending much time on the web than any other platform. Yeah, I don't want to diss mobile. Yeah. The web is evolving. The web has evolved a great deal over the years, and looking forward, the pace of evolution is really accelerating, as it should do. To keep pace with tech and society generally, today we'll cover a few themes that you should keep in mind this year. As we said, the web is evolving. With that comes the fact that Chrome and the Google team is focusing more on privacy. I'll be explaining how the web is evolving to enable private browsing experiences for all users by default. Secondly, the innovations that the web is enabling, a new generation of powerful, fast and seamless web applications, and a fantastic user experience. And finally, I will summarize the work being done by the Google team to help developers be productive and successful with the web. Now, starting with privacy-preserving web, what do you understand by the term sandbox? What do you understand by the term sandbox? I know I won't open the forum to hear everyone's answers, but I'll just go forward with it. Modern browsers, for context, are built around the metaphor of sandboxes. Each website you visit is isolated by, I'd say, a default form of, in a default, is isolated by default, from the rest of your browser system. Say you're in one tab, it's really isolated when it comes to content sharing between browsers, including the websites in other browser tabs, in open tabs, actually, just as though it was surrounded by virtual walls, like those of a sandbox in a garden. And that being said, the Chrome's team has innovated with the sandbox model from its earliest days, first by isolating websites, each website into its own process, and more recently expanding on that to isolate each cross-site iframe on a web page into its own process. So for each iframe also. Now we are taking this the same approach with, I'd say, the user data and tracking, building a sort of privacy sandbox, quote unquote, that seems to keep all your information safe and secure within your browser, resulting in a web where your identity and activity are private by default. Now, this is the whole aspect of sandbox in a computing protected environment. Now, they have announced the privacy sandbox efforts 2 years ago. They did as an open initiative, a collaboration with the community to bring this vision to life while being careful to help transition the web ecosystem to a new model in a thoughtful, deliberate way. Keeping in mind their vision, user privacy by default, and a healthy browser ecosystem. Now, our first step that was announced at Google I/O 2 years ago was changing the behavior of cookies in browser, in Chrome specifically, moving them from being visible across websites by default to being visible only to the same website that sets them. Now, before this change, it wasn't clear whether a cookie was intended for first-party or third-party use, and browsers needed to observe how cookies were used in the wild to infer their purpose. So, each browser had to check each cookie, how it was inferred in other browsers, in other tabs, let's say, to also tell this is their purpose. Now, this also created a security problem because this default visibility of cookies exposed users to cross-site request forgery attacks based on third-party observing the information in these cookies. Moving from e-commerces to a website that's selling you, nothing. Basically, those sites where you find that just observing your cookies, bringing up ads that are, not really real, let's say. So now developers are required to opt in to use cookies across sites as so-called third-party cookies. And in turn, browsers can disable such cookies in a straightforward manner. This privacy-preserving default behavior is now enforced in Chrome, Edge, and soon Firefox. You can see how it's been moving from April 2019, where Chrome published the same site equal to none proposal, and then May, Chrome announced same site none and secure. And then May 2020, it was adopted in Chrome. October 2020, adopted in Microsoft Edge, and now Firefox is soon rolling it out. Now, next, they've been collaborating with other ecosystem on a new family of APIs that provide privacy-preserving alternatives to use cases that today rely on third-party cookies, such as federated login, personalized ads, and conversion tracking. All this in that same privacy sandbox are use case examples. Now, to clarify how these APIs are approaching this challenge, let's take a closer look at one of them, the attribution reporting API. Now, a key aspect of any web business is how you grow your user audience. And that often involves, advertising to increase traffic and other things. On the other side of those ad dollars, or should I say ad shillings, content publishers on the web often rely on revenue from advertisements to make their business model work. Now, you have your site here, but finding out how many users actually clicked on an ad and whether they subsequently did something like sign up for a newsletter or complete a purchase is a really important part of this model. Now, someone clicked and, you get that ad. That ad was on your website and then they go and buy. So you need to always, you are a developer, you need to track if the ad that you placed on their site actually did what it was intended for, right? Now, traditionally, this measurement is performed by tracking the user before and after the click across websites with a third-party cookie. Now, so how might we do this in a way that doesn't involve tracking the user? Now, this is where we enter into the era of attribution reporting API. You have an ad server and you have cookies across websites. And then the user has the same information or different information. They have their information on your website, but we're required to have the same information on the other's website, where they're going to buy stuff, right? Now, using this proposed API, no user identity data is shared between sites. Instead, the browser keeps track of the ad conversions. Later, the browser sends an encrypted report to the advisor for each conversion event, adding time delays and noise to further stifle attempts to identify users. This technique is known as differential privacy. And I know for those who have done math, differential calculus and whatnot. This enables both parties to measure the effectiveness of ad campaigns and to understand what the behavior of the ads are able to drive, without tracking the user across sites. Now, attribution reporting is one of the many new API proposals in the privacy sandbox project. It's available for use as a Chrome Origin, trial experiment today, along with several other APIs, and they will be shipping more throughout the course of this year. A change this large and fundamental to the web will take time, but the Chrome team and the web team in Google is committed to, this work and the benefits it will bring to the users globally. We are talking about all these APIs. The same site cookie has been launched, first-party sets, it's still in Origin trial, same to FLC and trust tokens. Now, secondly, we are going to great user experiences. The web has evolved into a really, really powerful application platform, enabling anyone with a modern browser or nearly any kind of computing device to get, I'd say, an access to category-leading experiences that load faster and run seamlessly. For years now, we've seen, Google being on a mission to ensure that the web has all the capabilities needed to bring state-of-the-art computing experiences to the platform. And since they last spoke to us in the I/O, the web's gained a significant array of new capabilities. And I wanted to, highlight a few of those for you. You can read some of them here, even if they're scattered. That's for 2021 alone. All these are APIs that have been enforced or that have been pushed to this project. Now, one area of focus has been making it easy for users to seamlessly re-engage with the web apps. It's been possible for a few years now to easily add web apps as icons to native launchers across the web, the mobile and desktop. I don't know if you've realized that in the era of AMP or PWAs, let's say. Yeah. Next, let's talk about how they've been deepening integration between web apps and the underlying operating systems. With a new app shortcut feature, web apps can expose quick actions on operating systems that support these features, such as Android, Chrome OS, Windows, and Mac OS, where you can you've installed that web app, Twitter PWA, and then you right-click it, and then it brings that app shortcut feature, right? Coming, telling you see notifications, direct messages, new tweet, explore. The same thing to when you install a Twitter web app on your mobile phone or tablet. Now, and branding enables web apps to give the user a subtle prompt that there is an opportunity to re-engage by decorating the app's icon. Putting notification bars on web apps, not applications, not native applications. These are web apps. Soon, they will be shipping a Chrome Origin trial experiment for a new API called declarative link capturing that enables installed web apps to launch automatically when the user clicks an appropriate link. Let me give an example. When you click a link, someone has sent you a Twitter link in WhatsApp. You click it, it should open Twitter app, right? For those that use, let's say, the native application. Now, they've integrated it into a way that, let's say I don't have a native Twitter app, I've only installed the web app version. When I click that link, it's not going to take me to the browser and then open Twitter. It's going to open that same web app, Now, that's what I mean by declarative link capturing. It enables installed web apps to launch automatically when the user clicks on an appropriate link. This can also prevent multiple instances of the same app from opening, so it's not launched in a multiple tabs. Now, soon, we are going to see, let me go back. You click that link, and then it brings up the web app directly. Yeah. Now, they've also recently improved Chrome's web apps installation UI. Now, installing, you can see up there, just click install, and then it goes directly to your desktop or near your other apps in your phone. And on desktop, you now show an Omnibox icon and provide an in-product help to explain this feature to users. You can do that. They give you that flexibility to also add whatever, let's say, notification or word you want to. You don't want to just say, download my app. You can say, to get back here quickly, install my app. Install, let's say you have an app called Burudika, and don't steal me this idea. Burudika, it will just you can put those words the way you want. You can say, to get back here quickly, install Burudika. And on Android, they've made the dialog box look richer and more familiar to users, and made it easy for developers to populate the dialog with custom images and text simply by updating the app's manifest file. that easy. You can easily change or customize images and text by just updating the app's manifest file. And to those, those are ways that are improving the web integration with the OS launchers. They're also adding other OS integrations such as multi-screen window placement API, which will allow web apps to discover all the connected displays and control where the window is placed on the screen. Web apps can now, finally read and write to the user's local file system using the file system API, file system access API, enabling apps like Graphic Designer and Photopea to provide a much more seamless user experience, persisting state and disk, and working with existing files already. Showing you this file size, this is the space that's remaining on your phone or computer, stuff like that. They're also working on a new file handling API that will allow web applications to be registered as file type handler, enabling users to open files directly on a web app from OS file browser. They hope to ship an experimental release of this API later this year. Now, let's talk about peripheral devices, things like, special purpose keyboards, game controllers, digital pianos, headsets, and more. The web has had the ability to communicate with Bluetooth and MIDI devices for some time, but several new APIs enable support for a broader collection of devices, including serial ports via the Web Serial API. With these and other new capabilities of the web, you can bring deeply integrated, seamless experiences to users everywhere, right through the browser. Now, WebGL brought a whole new level of graphic performance to the web while it came available several years ago. We're currently seeing Chrome working on graphics and web communities on web GPU and a new generation of graphic API design from the ground up to unlock a whole new level of graphic performance on the web, taking inspiration from the low-level APIs like Vulkan, Metal, and Direct 3D. Web GPU is still very experimental, but holds existing promises for the future. Exciting. Now, let's talk about WebAssembly. I don't know if there is a WebAssembly developer here, but another key performance technology is WebAssembly, which provides a standard for compiling code to a fast and efficient format that can be executed in the browser by modern JavaScript engine like V8. We recently seen the Google team, giving our WebAssembly a major performance boost by implementing support for SIMD processors, instructions for V8, which enabled certain classes of apps to run much faster. We've seen the same, implemented in Google Meet, providing a powerful example of SIMD application in action. Like any video conferencing application, Meet has to pay careful attention to their performance budget. And there is a constant tension between processing the video in order to enhance it and maintaining a smooth, low latency stream. Using V8's experimental origin trial of SIMD, they have achieved a 200% performance gain in their in-browser media processing pipeline, while in turn gave them the budget to enable a ground-up blur feature for most users powered by TensorFlow in the browser. Now they're planning to ship SIMD to all Chrome users in the coming months. Now WebAssembly is also frequently used to bring non-JavaScript code base to the web, unlocking them for new use cases. For example, developers behind the offline first sync engine, Replication, were able to compile their Rust code to WebAssembly, enabling web developers to seamlessly incorporate it into their web app. They've also enhanced V8's WebAssembly debugging experience with support for breakpoints and available inspection in Chrome DevTools. they've also really done something that's really exciting to see what developers can deliver with universal runtime, that works on clients or servers in sandboxes fast. That's WebAssembly. The V8 team has also been hard at work at squeezing even more JavaScript performance out of its engine. In addition to interpreting JavaScript, V8 also compiles JavaScript code on the fly for more efficient execution, and the team has implemented a new compiler called Sparkplug. That's in still early tests. Is giving the Gmail team a performance improvement. Now, of course, sometimes the best way to improve code execution performance is not to execute code, any code, right? So they say. In this spirit, early this year, they shipped a new Chrome feature to some users called intensive timer throttling. What this will do is really exciting. This detects when a browser tab has been in the background for more than 5 minutes. And as long as the tab isn't playing any audio or video, Chrome slows down how frequently it executes timer-based JavaScript code on the tab. Now, this is really exciting in the spirit of performance. Yeah. They've also applied this concept to avoiding unnecessary work in a few more areas. Last year, they shipped support for new CSS property content visibility. When you set this property to auto on an element, you're giving the browser permission to skip rendering the content of that element tree if it's not currently visible on the user's display. This can lead to a dramatic, speed boost for content-heavy websites. In addition to the work that's happening to expand the power of performance of the web, the platform is evolving to deliver more instant and seamless experience for users. In Chrome 87, released in November last year, they added a so-called back-forward cache to Chrome on Android, or BF cache, for short. BF cache keeps some web apps loaded in memory after you navigate away from them. So if the user clicks back or forward, the page is displayed instantly. 5 navigations on the mobile are moving backwards or forwards, forward through the history stack. So this feature drives a pretty big impact. While today's Chrome's BF cache implementation is only available on Android and some limitations, and has some right now, they are planning to expand it to Chrome desktop platform soon. You can see an example here, an app that's using BF cache and one that's not. You can see how the content loads. One is really fast, the other is not, when you're going back to the content you were on. Another way they are expanding instant experiences is by revisiting the notion of pre-rendering pages, that is loading web pages, resources, and even rendering the DOM before the user clicks on a link. They're working on a new approach to pre-rendering that are private and safe. Those involves a new pre-rendering API that will enable developers to experiment with the same site preloading later this year. Transitions are another important aspect of the user experience, ensuring that the users are able to shape their content as they navigate the web and get right to where they want to go. One simple feature is scroll to text, added to Chrome 80 in February of last year. By adding a new type of expression to the end of the URL, browsers can position the viewport of a specific text content and highlight it in some way. Soon, they will be shipping a version of this API that switches, and we're exploring other elements types too. With the new document transition APIs coming soon to Chrome as experiments, they've also built in support graphical the user to perceive a seamless experience moving between states of your web. They've also worked to make security seamless on the web. One upcoming feature we are, as developers, particularly excited about is cross-device one-time passwords, OTP cross-device for the web. This enables you to receive OTP on your Android phone and then have the OTP automatically transferred to your Chrome browser running on your desktop or laptop. We're used to where you get the OTP from your browser, comes as a message, but then it's pasted directly into your browser and authenticates itself, right? But now it's now cross-device, one-time password. Get the OTP on your phone, but it authenticates on your browser, which was on your laptop. Yeah, this is really exciting. They're working to make the web easier for developers. So they're building tools and partnering with a broader ecosystem to understand and address the platform's top pain points. Now this is where we talk about developer success. Their open source Lighthouse website auditing tool, for those who use them, it gives you a comprehensive look, on where to improve your website across a variety of categories, such as performance, accessibility, and SEO. They're constantly and continually updating Lighthouse guidance to give you the very best insights we can, as developers. We've found that 3 of Lighthouse performance metrics are particularly impactful on the user experience, and they call that core web vitals. And collectively, they measure how fast a site displays key content, how responsive the site is for the first integration or interaction, and how much the website's layout or site's layout bounces around. Now, sites across the web are using core web vitals as a North Star to performance metrics and are reporting encouraging results. For example, the Italian publisher GDG saw an 8% improvement in the bounce rate of their mobile application or mobile app article pages. They did this by implementing a branded placeholder in order to reserve space for ads, improving their layout stability, and by deferring loading of some of the JavaScript code until after the page was visible, improving their perceived page loading speed. Now, web content and commerce platforms are also investing in core web vitals to improve performance for all their hosted websites. And I know you might be using some of this, say Shopify, Squarespace, Wix, Typo3, and which one is, let me see, I'm trying to see which one, and PetaShop for those who use it, the ones that are really used most. For example, Shopify and Wix implemented dashboards in the admin console to put performance fronts and center the website corners. And the WordPress community has shipped performance-oriented additions, such as lazy loading for images and iframes. They've also updated SiteKit, Google's official plugin for WordPress, with support for measuring core web vitals and for making specific recommendations. Now, Google Search has also announced that core web vitals will soon be part of how pages are ranked in search results. This is particularly exciting as it magnifies the benefit of core web vitals to developers. The investment is not only to give users a better experience, it will also help, your site through search. The way it's going to be seen, everything SEO. Now, they've spent a good amount of time listening to developers. They've done both one-on-one and, via scale developer survey. One of the common themes they constantly hear is the importance of cross-browser compatibility. This year, they've recently announced their participation in a cross-industry effort called #Compact 2021. which aims to fix the top 5 browser compatibility pain points as voted on by web developers, which shockingly all happens to be CSS related. The top 5 focus areas are CSS Flexbox, CSS Grid, Position Sticky, Aspect Ratio, and CSS Transforms. Now, CSS Flexbox and Grid have been embraced by developers as major improvements for creating page layouts, and learning from years of CSS frameworks like Sass are being backed into the platform, such as nesting. And along with container queries, your most requested feature for CSS, you'll be able to create style sheets that are more modular and reusable by enabling rules that are scoped naturally to their local content versus acting so globally. One of Chrome's most popular feature is its suite of built-in developer tools, which gives you an incredibly powerful toolkit that functions as your web development copilot. Over the past year, they've enhanced DevTools with a bevy of improvements ranging from new color pickers, improved warnings, and linting of PWAs, and core web vitals, overlay, everything, around dedicated CSS Flexbox debugging, dropped frame visualization, CSS in JS support, and so much more. And with that, I'm going to wrap up what we talked about. I know I'm really going fast in the interest of time. We've talked about the web evolving in fundamental ways so it doesn't become extinct. It's becoming private by default, with core mechanisms of today involving the new APIs that protect the user privacy. It's also continues to gain powerful new capabilities that broaden what's possible on the platform, providing better user experiences. Lastly, they are committed to partnering with developers, with you, and the ecosystem as the web evolves, and ensures that the tools and guidance are for success. And that's it. Thank you so much for your time. And if you have any questions, I think you can write them in the DM. I'll respond to them so that we keep time. And